Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Blue Collar Hockey Talk. My name is Wes Agatha. I'm here with my co-host Scott Feeney. There weren't any games this past week, but we still have a lot of stuff to talk about when it comes to the NHL and hockey and the Toronto Maple Leafs because there's always news in Leaf Nation. We actually got to talk to West Coast Tim. He's going to be on the show later. We can't wait to introduce him. But before that, how are you doing tonight, Scott?
Buddy, doing great. I'm itching to watch a Leaf game though. Itching. And you want to know something? I have it recording right now. They're playing as we record this, so I'll have to get caught up on what's going on. Otherwise, Bud, doing great. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing really well. Can't complain. It's something just to keep track of what's going on in the hockey world when the Leafs aren't playing. Like, man, the Montreal Canadiens, they just had to ruin the perfect COVID season that the North Division was having, man. Two of their players tested positive, or not positive, sorry, they were put on the protocol list, and as a result, their games were postponed until the 28th of March, man. What did you think when that news rolled through?
I guess it was kind of a selfish reason. I just thought it was kind of a neat thing to say that the Canadian division hadn't had anything happen, but that was naive to think that it was going to continue that way.
Mm-hmm.
It sucked to have it happen just because I don't like to see games get lost. I don't like to see players go down because of COVID. COVID's done enough. I don't like hearing it do anything else. I don't like hearing any games getting canceled at all, any division. And I hated hearing it in our own because it's going to do something somewhere. There's going to be an extra game when we don't want there to be, and I was a game in hand that doesn't need to be there, whatever. I just don't like canceled games.
Yeah, it is what it is, man. And it was just surprising to hear. It was like the Montreal Canadiens. Like, geez, like I was expecting that news out of like Phoenix or Florida or something. So I was a little taken aback by that. But hey, we're lucky that it took this long for it to happen.
We are, and hopefully they contained it there. It doesn't sound like they messed around.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you were saying that it was maybe was it extreme measures or was it something else?
Well, I saw a report recently that one of the players tested positive for one of the COVID variants. So that's why he was shut down, because they didn't want it to spread that much quicker than, I guess, traditional COVID spreads. So good move on the NHL for canceling or for postponing the games for a week, even though it was only two guys, because I think they learned their lesson from earlier in the season when there was that New Jersey and Buffalo shutdown, and Buffalo never got off the mat after that shutdown.
No, you're right. I think it's really responsible of the NHL. Good on them. Hats off. Like, it's cool when a big organization like or business like them do what's right, and it seems like that was what they did here.
Mm-hmm.
Good job. Whatever. It's not really a big deal. It's just one game, and hopefully it just stays there in the North.
Yeah.
Let's hope.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about some positive COVID news. The Canadian government has told the NHL it'll allow players that are traded into the North Division to have a reduced quarantine of 7 days. I have two things to say about this. Do you think it'll increase the trade market between now and the trade deadline? And man, could you imagine the rules of this quarantine? If they step one toe out of a room that they're supposed to be in, I think they're going to get slapped with a big fine, or they're going to have to stay for the whole 14 days.
I'll start with your first part there. I do think that it'll affect the trade deadline, and where it affects it, I think it affects it in the value of who you're trading for. And I say that because a player getting traded from, let's say, Dallas into Montreal, whatever, into the North, that player in the North was only going to play, like, if you traded on the deadline day, you'd get 7 or 8 regular season games. Whereas a player in south of the border, they could get that player right away, right?
Mm-hmm.
Am I right to say this?
Yep,
so
it makes sense.
So I mean, the teams aren't going to give a smaller value on that player just because we only get to use them for 7 games. Now we get them for maybe 10, 11, and in a shortened season, that means something. I don't know. I think that it might make players or teams actually see the value that's being asked for players that they otherwise weren't. I don't think it means anything for Toronto, though, at all.
No. I kind of see where you're going when it comes to the value of the players, but at the same time, man, we're talking about 4 games, 5 games at most. That isn't going to change a possible third round pick to a second round pick in my mind. Like that just, you know, you can't have from your GM perspective. To me, that's not going to change the value of someone I'm trading for. But that's my
And
perspective. You know,
maybe you're right. I mean, I'm only going by like when I kept hearing people say, and it was Friedman that really started it all by saying, you know, the Leafs are going to be off for a week. It's going to be a perfect time to make a trade because then the quarantine, they don't miss many games, and otherwise this or that. Like he kind of started this thought process. And maybe I let myself get a little carried away on that. You're probably right. Probably isn't actually going to change much in the actual general manager's room, just in the people that speculate about it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And what do you think about my other take of like these rules are going to be super strict and these guys will have to stay in line, man. I could see there being fines to the team if a player doesn't abide by the quarantine rules.
Well, the NHL will have had serious talk on how to reassure the government that this will be handled at above top level. You know, like as good as it possibly can get. So you're right. If anyone stepped out of line on this, I could only imagine. I would hate to be them because it wouldn't be light, and it wouldn't just be the NHL. It would be like a Canadian government. Like it just wouldn't be good. It wouldn't be good at all. So no, man, I can't see it. It would be pretty clear, and I couldn't imagine a player wanting to start off on that foot. Can you imagine if you got traded to a team and you stepped out of line on that? Like that would be enough that you could get kind of shunned right off the hop.
Oh man, that would be something that would follow you around for a while. Like that would be your nickname somehow. That would like the guys would just give it to you. And especially if you were like a big name player that's supposed to improve the team. And like I said, how it's only 4 or 5 games, but if you're one of the teams in the North that are fighting for the playoffs, those are very important games, and you need those guys there to help you get into the playoffs.
Yeah, you do. You do. Yeah, you know what else I want to talk about here, buddy? I want to talk about referee Tim Peel.
Yep.
Okay, like for anybody that didn't see that, like it just got, he was caught on a hot mic on Tuesday night saying he wanted to call a penalty against Nashville Predators. He's been banned from officiating any more NHL games. Peel officiating in his first NHL game. He did his first NHL game on October 21st, 1999. He worked 90 playoff games, the 2012 All-Star game, as well as 24 Sochi games. Apparently, Peel was going to retire at the end of the season. He would have had that absolute honorary official retired game, and they make a big deal of that. And he's kind of been robbed of this. I don't know. What are your thoughts on this, man?
I think he's a victim of the generation we're in. You know what I mean? Like if this happened, like clearly this stuff happens all the time. Like apparently that mic was on one of the players on Nashville. Like he was explaining it to a Nashville Predator why he called the penalty. So if the player isn't upset about it, because the players clearly weren't, then it's a non-issue, and it's just like the NHL is saving face. And I kind of want to put in like a little conspiracy theory here too. I bet they're like, hey man, why don't you just like you're just gonna walk away now. Like your punishment is not having that retirement kind of party thing.
Yeah, you know, I mean, this whole like trying to save face. You know what? How about we rock the boat a little bit with this comment? How well did that work for Ron McLean? You know, I haven't heard the greatest of things since all the Don Cherry stuff went down, bud. You know, and I mean, the cancellation of things, and I'm not saying right or wrong on it. I'm just saying Ron McLean's still taking a lot of heat for how he handled it. So anyways, a little off topic on that. Tim Peel, I don't like hearing of an official say that he's trying to even out a game. But what I really, and I heard another one of the officials that was on the ice, I want to say it was Sutherland, and he had said that he feels like really he didn't really mean it quite like that. He realized maybe that he maybe missed the call a little bit, made a bad call, and just was like kind of feeling a little bit embarrassed about it and just kind of said something, you know, like it could have been just an off the cuff thing. I mean, no matter how you shake it, it doesn't sound good. And I mean, if you're like NHL's trying to get into gambling, you can't have that kind of stuff take place if you want to be taken seriously in Vegas. You can't, or by any of the bettors.
Yeah. And I think you just hit the nail on the head, man. Like that is 100% what it is about. Like they need to have integrity, especially for gambling, because you can bet on how many penalties are going to be in a game. I guarantee you that's a prop bet.
I guarantee it too. I mean, like in the States, you're already able to do prop bets. There's teams that have lobbies and lounges ready to go, or at least they were, and they will when they allow fans back in. But you better believe that they're probably making those bets right now.
Yep.
And if you're getting an amount of like how many power play goals are the Toronto Maple Leafs going to score in a game, or the Nashville Predators are going to score in a game, that if you bet over under, that directly that affects that bet.
100%.
And you can't do that. You can't. And so during just even our talk here, I don't know like if the punishment really suits, but I definitely think that they had to make sure that it was like loud and clear. This is not how we roll. This is not the integrity of the game. And I think that's what it is. It's the billions of dollars that are at stake on that maybe influence the hard iron fist hand here.
I think what would be interesting is if something happens to a ref when he's like he puts his arm up, he calls a penalty, and then he sees a replay of the penalty, and it gets caught on a hot mic saying like, "Ooh, that was a bad call. I shouldn't have made that call." And that's just it's a human reaction. It's not, he didn't call a bad call on purpose. He just sees it and he gets caught saying it. Like, what do you do then? Because like we're human beings. Mistakes happen. There's a lot of stuff going on the ice.
Okay, I'm totally okay with mistakes, and that leads me into kind of the question I was going to ask you. I'm totally okay with mistakes happening. It's human error, and that's what I like, and that's why this whole offside challenge, the offside crap, I don't like that stuff. I don't, because there's got to, like, part of it is just the human element. It's just what it is. I don't need it slowed down for anything. Why the hell am I going off on such a tangent about that? Wes, ask your question again, please. I don't mean to be like that.
Yeah. So my question was, what if a ref makes a call, then he's caught on a mic watching a replay of his call, and he says, "Ooh, I made a bad call."
I don't want him to even the game out. I'm okay with him making a bad call.
Okay.
Yeah, you made a bad call. I'm okay with that, but I don't need it to be evened out. But the thing that sucks, and Wes, tell me if I'm wrong here, but I've watched hockey long enough. So have you. And I've watched it with my dad, and he's watched it for longer than me. And we all say it, or at least my dad and I do. And when you see a bad call, you know that there's one coming. You know that it doesn't matter how clean you're playing. There's a power play coming. It's coming. Be ready for it. It's happening. And so that's what happened here, right?
You're right, man. But I do think again, it is a bit. It's human nature to say that, be like, oh, we're gonna get one back, or that was a bad call for the Leafs that ended up like positively. So something's gonna happen negatively to the Leafs, and it's just. And you know what, you're talking about human nature of the game, but that's the fun of it too. Like sports is our escape, right? Like we have our real lives going on and stuff. So as much as I want the Leafs to win Stanley Cup, it's not going to directly impact my life in a positive or negative way if they ever do or don't, right? Like it's an escape and it's fun. You know, I get how money is on it and it's important to have integrity and things like that, but at the same time, I love doing that with people. Like, that's what I miss about watching games with people. You see a penalty, you're like, it's going to even out. Watch. Like, it's banter, right? And it's kind of fun.
No, you're right. You're right. You want to know what? My dad and I have a little rule. The only reason why I've ever made any bets on this, like during our show, is because of the show. You know, but in all fairness, in the grand scheme of things, I mean, I don't gamble a lot, but my dad and I, like, we'll play the pro line once in a while. But there's a rule. We don't bet on the Leafs. And the reason for it is because we don't need any help making any interest in the game. And that's the only reason why there's a bet put on a game for me anyway, is to add interest to it. I don't need to add interest to the Leaf game. Trust me, I don't. I'm excited when they score regardless. And I'm definitely not betting against them. But I don't want to be feeling like I'm out $5 because I bet for them. You know, I just want to say, damn it, they lost, or yes, they won. And I'm happy at that when it comes to gambling.
Exactly. One last thing I want to get to before we bring Tim in. Man, Buffalo, you just keep, like, we're kicking them when they're down, and this time I don't know, are we drop kicking them when they're down? Because they're currently on a 15-game winless streak. 15 games. That's worse than their worst losing streak when they were trying to get McDavid a few years ago. And then today, their new coach and assistant coach have been put on the COVID protocol list and won't be able to coach their next game. We keep on asking, how is it going to get worse in Buffalo? And it keeps getting worse in Buffalo.
Oh, buddy, and I don't want to hear anybody else say, why aren't we talking about trading for Taylor Hall? Why do you want to?
Yeah.
Why do you want to? Like, seriously, I don't get it. I do not get that. I don't know what the hell's going on with Buffalo, and I feel so bad that we had Dave on this show. We
Yeah.
cursed the hell out of
Yeah.
them, given they weren't doing well anyways, but they have not done it. They've lost every game since, man.
Yeah.
Fired a coach. I don't even know. I don't know. Like 18's the record, right?
Mm-hmm. I think they could hit it, man. In the way the season goes, like you play the same team multiple times. Like I think they're playing Pittsburgh again. I don't see them beating Pittsburgh, man. We talk about betting. You wanna take a good bet? Bet on Buffalo to win a game, and I guarantee the payout will be a lot more than if you bet against Buffalo.
Oh, buddy, I bet you it is too. Like I wouldn't put money on them at all. Like imagine if you're sitting there, well, they have to eventually
They
win,
have
you
to, yeah.
know? It's law of averages. Well, I guess they do have to eventually win, but they've lost 15 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel sorry for their new coach. I feel like I'm watching Peter Horachek coach the Leafs all over again. It's happening there. Trust me, Buffalo fans, from one Leaf fan that has been through dark days.
Yeah.
I am sorry that this is happening. I'm not taking any actual glory in this. I don't like it. You're not the Montreal Canadiens. I'd maybe cheer for that one to be happening. But Buffalo, I hope this gets turned around. This you don't deserve this. You don't deserve it.
No. Well, on that note, let's change the attitude of the show. Let's bring in our third host of the show. Let's bring in Tim.
All right, guys, we've got a treat for you. So we usually just read West Coast Tim's thoughts, but guess what? We have West Coast Tim live and in the flesh, well, Zoom type style. Tim, man, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How are you, Scott?
I'm excited. I'm excited that you're on the show. This is really cool. I mean, we always chat Leafs, you know, and now we've got our podcast where we talk Leafs, and now you're on the podcast. How is it being a West Coast fan, man? Like, I mean, there's a game going on right now. Like, you have a team that you've followed for years that's not been in your division. It's been in another conference, and now it's in the division of the West Coast. How has it been?
It's been exciting. I can actually watch the games. Like, I don't know, like it's daytime. Like I'm not dealing with the kids. It's just been it's more exciting. Like there's more happening. There's been more. I can stay up and watch the games and no issues, no kids, no dinner making, no anything.
Now, I got a question for you, if I could. Wes, I know I was supposed to let you go there, but I just want to say this. Tim, man, like you're one of the most insightful guys that I know. That's why I love talking the games with you. You are spot on with what you talk about. Like there's so much noise in Leaf Nation all the time. And I always feel like so much is garbage talk, and you see right through that stuff. So I ask you, you've got Campbell and Anderson. This is kind of fun to watch. I mean, Campbell's playing the game that we're watching right now as we record. And I mean, I know that you got Anderson, he was not well, but I mean, let's talk a bigger body of work, like this season in general. Like, how do you feel about what's going on in net?
You know what? Like, not soured on Anderson, but Campbell's been just steady. Like, steady Freddie has passed the torch in a sense. Like, he's just been solid. I feel like he's been stopping pucks. He's been making plays, and not that Freddie hasn't. It's just Campbell's just, I think, a different element for the team, and I'm quite enjoying it.
Nice. Well, I'm not going to talk about the Leafs for a second. I just want to know why you're a Leaf fan out west. Are you from out west, or are you from Toronto? Like, we want to know a little bit about you.
Okay. So I grew up in Ontario. I went to grade school with Scott, actually, and just Leaf Nation was instilled in me really, really young, and used to go to Maple Leaf. What are they? The open practices, and would run around Maple Leaf Gardens just looking for autographs, looking for players, and like hockey has just been that staple since a young age.
Okay, one of our very first shows, we talked about all of our favorite like Leaf memories. Like one of mine was the overtime goal Matthews had in Buffalo a few years ago. What's one of your favorite memories?
You know what? I've actually thought about this, and it's been it's the Gilmore wraparound goal. What was that? 92, 93?
Yeah.
Against St. Louis?
Yeah. Again, on Cujo.
Yeah, on Cujo. Yeah, that's my memory. That's my favorite.
It's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been pretty exciting to be a Leaf fan. Well, no, it hasn't been actually. Like, I mean, honest to God, like when you moved out west, like it could have been easy enough. Like, how long have you been out of the province? Because I know you went out east first.
Yeah, so I left Ontario when I was 18, so we're looking at, I don't even know how many years that is now.
Almost.
15, probably 20 years now. So I went out east, so I was in another time zone. Everything's later. It's game started at 8 o'clock. Like West Coast games, non-existent for me. Um, and then you're dealing with the TV blackouts and all that garbage out there. And then I've been out west for 6 years now, and just enjoying life. So here we are.
So there have been some dark years of the Maple Leafs, like while you've been out of Ontario. So what made you stay a Leaf fan when you had the prime opportunity to jump to a Vancouver team that was a really good team that made it to the Cup final? That must have been awesome
Yeah.
being in Vancouver during that run. So like why would you stick with the Leafs when you had better options, frankly, for a while?
To be completely honest, big hockey fan, but it's just the Leafs. That's my team. If it's not the Leafs, I follow hockey. I like the rules. I like just what's happening with hockey trades, all that fun stuff, but I don't actually watch other hockey games. It's Leafs or nothing.
Nice.
Well, well, I mean, seeing all these games right now, like you're able to watch it a whole lot more. I mean, hell, who the hell am I kidding? You never missed a game. I mean, it's killer. I love it. I mean, it's you've had to watch it during dinner. You've got your kids yelling and screaming in the background. Like you're trying to, take care of a whole family. You and your wife, and a hockey game on in the kitchen. I bet. Like it's pretty fun stuff. I love it. I could just picture it.
I actually plan. It's pretty sad actually, but I plan a lot of stuff around Leaf games. Like if a Leaf game's on, I'll try to avoid the family function to watch the game as much as I can.
It's all for Leaf Nation. It's the passion that unites us all, except for sometimes inside of your very own house. But whatever. It's still pretty cool from 3,000 kilometers away. But buddy, like, what do you feel about the Leaf team now? Like this team that we've got going on. Like, there's a lot of great things happening. I know that we had a few losses pile up there. There's a lot of negative chatter, but whatever. We're in first place. This is. I don't know how you feel in the season's going, man.
I like what's happening. I'm glad they're going through their lull now because it's not playoff time. It's not right before the playoffs. Just like let's go through this lull and see what happens, and they get to find themselves right now. As the year goes on, I think the team is probably one of the better teams we've seen in a while. It's not like they're not trying, and it seems like and especially tonight because it seems like we're getting goal lead by the Ottawa netminder that's played like 60 games in the show. They just need to. I think they need to raise their game right now. To be completely honest, everyone else is raising their game to us, so we need to step it up even more.
I think that's absolutely true, man. When you're first in the division, everyone is bringing their A game to you, right? Like you're the one that everyone is hunting down, and it's odd being a Leaf fan this year because they are the good team.
Yeah.
And it's been so many years when they just haven't been, man. Like they haven't won a division, I want to say since 93. Like that's a long time since they've won a division title in the regular season. So this is for a whole generation, probably two. This is like uncharted waters, and we really don't know how to handle it as fans,
No, it's an odd sensation. Like we've been running the division for the whole season, and now everyone's caught up. So I think it's time to elevate our game a little bit more, and let's drive it home so we can get some, well, not home crowd advantage, but just to get to the playoffs and make a good run.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, maybe I can have my last question anyway for you here, Tim.
Yeah.
So you've got the Leafs coming up to the trade deadline. Do we do anything? And if we do, what do you have any kind of a pulse on the radar here? Do you know what's going on?
I keep hearing people talk about goalies and forwards. To be honest, I like our D just the way it is. And I think we're going to have Robertson and Sandines there to make a return to the Marlies soon. So I bet you they're going to be floated up and down. The goalie market, I think I just run with Freddie. Whoever the hot hand is going forward, just go with those guys, and that's who gets the net. For forwards, another top six, maybe to complement on the second line. Another forward would be great. Another hot, if you can give me a Hyman type player, gritty, dirty, just digs the puck out. That's what I want to see.
That's great, man. And again, like, it's just so weird as a Leaf fan to not be like, we need another number 2 defenseman, or we need a number 2 winger or 3 defensemen, or like we need a goalie. Like, to be the team that we just need to work around the edges. Again, It's just one of those weird things that there's no real glaring hole. Like,
no.
From the beginning of the season, I always talked about pairs, where the lines are kind of going to be just posted because they have to be, but you're going to have guys stick together, right? Like Marner and Matthews are going to stick together, and the third guy is just going to rotate through, right? Yeah. And it's just not going to be a traditional like top 6, bottom 6.
They don't need to be throwing away first round picks or top prospects. I think they just need to work around the fringes to support the core. And I think that's all you really need right now. They don't need to be wasting assets and pick capital when we got to look to the future as well. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, hey buddy Tim, I absolutely loved having you on here. I hope you guys pay attention to what Tim says here, because when we bring it up, I love it. You'll notice that he gets things right, and I think that we're going to start kind of showing those things where we get those things right, just to kind of brag a little bit. Well, whatever. Tim, pleasure having you on here, man. Thank you very much. Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks guys. Really appreciate it.
Won't be the last time, man.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Wes, I don't know about you, buddy, but that was cool. I was pretty happy to have Tim on the show there. Tim has contributed on every single one of the podcasts and does is always chatting with us every day. I loved having him on, and I wish that we were able to keep him on for the next segment here, because I'll tell you, I'm pretty excited because I've been bugging Wes to bring it back for weeks, and we have the bandwagon jumping segment coming back on here.
Off the wagon? I think it's off the wagon.
I think it's on the wagon.
Yeah, man, it's one of our favorite things to do. So let's start it off with the Central Division. Tampa Bay Lightning, 5-game winning streak, first in the division with 50 points. Are you on that wagon or are you off that wagon?
I'm on it, man. They're tuning it up. Yeah. They're tuning it up. They're tuning up a fine-oiled machine. They've shown it. They won the cup. They hoisted it over their head. They are for real. The fans have never got off that bandwagon, I would hope, because they have a killer team. I'm on that bandwagon.
Yeah, I can't fight you on that, man. I think they're just warming up, man, and you think they're going to get better in the playoffs because Kucherov is going to come back from his division, and they're just going to cruise. I think, man, they're one of the favorites to make it to the Final Four for a very good reason, man. Like they are the team to beat, and they're one of the best teams in the league this year.
Yeah, well, you look up and down that division, and I mean they're strong. Look at the point differential, or the goal differential. It's been the largest spread across the league all year.
Yeah,
they're a dominant team. Like, we've been waiting for the Leafs to have a dominant game, and we're hoping we see one soon. I really am. I want to see a 7-1 drubbing. Tampa does it, and they've done it a few times. On the bandwagon. How about the Florida Panthers, buddy? They've lost 2 games in a row. They're third in the division with 44 points. You on or off that bandwagon?
Man, I gotta say I'm on that bandwagon. They have been one of the best teams this year, and it's one of those things, man. Florida, it's that team that I track usually because they're in the same division as the Leafs. This year, I haven't been noticing them at all, but they just keep winning, and they're doing well. Like, they're in a bit of a slide, like 2 games. It's a slide. Still, they have 44 points. That's more points than the Leafs have. So, thank God they're not in our division this year.
Okay, listen, normally we're not normally going to agree on this stuff because we normally don't, but we're not going to on the East. I can already see it. But here, Florida Panthers, I'm on the bandwagon, and it's purely because of Quenneville, man. Like, the coach is just, he knows what to do. He knows how to have those troops ready for the game. He's showing it. He's had a bit of time, a couple seasons now, to put his systems in place. The fans. the fans. I hope they get some fans this year because I'll tell you, they've got a good team to watch on the bandwagon, and people should start getting on it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, East Division, the Philadelphia Flyers. They've lost 3 games in a row. They're 5th in the division. They're just 2 points out of the playoffs with 34 points. Are you on that bandwagon or off that bandwagon?
You see, I was on the bandwagon for a while there, a long time. I'm off the bandwagon. I feel like hop, skipping, and jumping teams, and I'll get to why I think it'll be tough in probably about 45 seconds from now. But I don't think that they'll do it. I'm off the bandwagon on the Flyers.
I'm on the bandwagon, and it's more about the other teams in the division because I think they're better than 4 other teams, so I think they're going to be able to make it to the playoffs. So I don't think they're going to do well in the playoffs, but definitely on the bandwagon of the Philadelphia Flyers. How about we stay in the division? One more team that's in 4th place. The Boston Bruins have won 2 in a row. They have 36 points. Are you on that bandwagon or off that bandwagon?
I know your predictions, they're missing the playoffs, and I keep saying that it would be really fun to see it. But I'll tell you, buddy, it's happened time and time again that the Boston Bruins aren't supposed to do well. Or to me, I think that they're going to go like this. And they don't every single damn time. And I am sick of losing my pride and what I think I know about hockey on saying that they're not going to do it. I'm going to be on their bandwagon, and I think that they're going to get on a roll. And I think they're going to be a pretty tough team moving forward.
I think I am off their bandwagon, man. I think it is time for them to take a step back. Like, you look at the teams in their division, the Islanders are crushing it lately. We've talked about them before. They are one of the better teams that are boring as hell to watch, but man, they know how to lock down a game and win a game. The Washington Capitals, they're going to make the playoffs, guaranteed. The Pittsburgh Penguins, they always start off slow, and then they end up making the playoffs. So their team, I think, that's 4th in the division is the Philadelphia Flyers. So therefore, I'm off the bandwagon of the Boston Bruins.
I like it, buddy. All right, well done there. I mean, I called it there. I told you we'd be off there. This West Division. All right, so I'm thinking that we're going to go agree on one and not on the other. I just got this feeling. So we've got the Colorado Avalanche, 15 out of 16 points in the last 8 games. That's hot, buddy. They're 2nd in the division with 43 points. On or off the bandwagon?
And I predicted them to win the Cup this year. I am on the bandwagon. They are the best team in that division. I don't care if people say it's Vegas, whatever. I still think the Colorado Avalanche are going to make it to the Stanley Cup final. That they are just way too good. They're coming together as a team on that bandwagon.
Yeah, and see, I said we're going to be 1-1 on this, and this is the one I figured we'd agree because I also agree with you. Colorado's the team to beat in that division. Well, you didn't say that, sorry. I think that they're the team to beat in that division, and I'll tell you, they're strong from the net out. Like they look good in net. They've got strong D. They're getting points for where they want them. They've got grit. They're a solid team, man. On the bandwagon all the way with the Colorado Avalanche, and then we've got the Minnesota Wild. Won 7 of 9 games. They're 3rd in the division, 41 points. On or off, bud?
I am off the bandwagon because I just think they're in a hot streak right now, man. I think other teams can catch up to them. They've separated themselves a little bit from the teams that aren't in the playoffs, but I still think there's a lot of hockey left to be played. I think they're going to slip out of the playoffs off that bandwagon.
See, I knew he'd be 1-1. I'm on the bandwagon, bud. Minnesota Wild. I don't know why. They've been that dark horse. You know, I called them in the top 4 in that making the playoffs. I think they'll stay in there. I think that they've got they've just a little feisty team. You know, they've got this. They're tough to shake. They play tough hockey, and when they're playing the same teams over and over, I don't know. They're going to be. I'm on the bandwagon for the Wild. On the bandwagon, buddy.
All right. Last but not least, the North Division. Remember the Edmonton Oilers? We went into Edmonton and we mopped the floor with them. Well, they've won 7 of 9 games. They're tied for first in the division with 42 points. Are you on the bandwagon or off of it?
So I would have to say that I'm on the bandwagon with the Edmonton Oilers. I think that they're going to be a strong team for the rest of the season. I think they're going to man, McDavid's playing on a hell of a pace. Like, if you actually sit there and did the numbers on his points, I think that he's on pace. If it was a full-length season, he'd be sitting somewhere near like 170, 180 point pace season. I don't know if I'm being silly and stupid to say that, but I don't think I am. like it was like something like 60 points through 30 games. So it's got to be up there close to that, 150, whatever. Lots of points on the bandwagon, Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah, I can't argue there, man. They after that drubbing from the Leafs, I thought Edmonton was going to go Edmonton and just go on a losing streak, but they turned it around, and they've done really well since. They've shown us that we clearly don't know what we're talking about sometimes, and I am on the bandwagon for the Edmonton Oilers. What about the Calgary Flames, man? They made the coaching change. They came out on a winning streak from that coaching change, but they still lost 4 of 5. They're 6th in the division. They were just recently swept by Ottawa, and they only have 33 points. What do you think?
Listen, you just said that sometimes we look like we don't know what we're talking about. And I feel like that with the Calgary Flames because I was on their bandwagon not long ago. And I thought they were going to become the tough team to beat. And I am off of that bandwagon because that's demoralizing, man. You've got a new coach. I get it. He's got to get them. He's got to teach whatever. I'm off the bandwagon.
Yeah, man, it breaks my heart to say it as well. I agree with you, man. I have a Flames jersey. I'm a Flames fan. I am off the bandwagon. I think they just don't have it this year. I think this year, at the end of the season, there's going to be some big changes in Calgary. They just can't score, man. They're in the high-flying North Division with these really high-scoring teams, and then they seem to, when they get behind, they just can't dig themselves out. Like, getting swept against Ottawa is just unacceptable. So I am completely off the bandwagon.
And you show your character when you're doing the stuff that you do with that game puck. You can call it whatever, getting under someone's skin, but come on. Like, there's a way of getting under someone's skin without being classless, and that was a time that you don't do that crap. Just come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, that's bandwagon jumping. We're going to bring it back again for sure. I have so much fun doing this segment. We got to get Tim on to do this because I think it'd be great to have another voice about this segment because it's so much fun. Moving on to this day in hockey history, 1982. And we have a lot of these. Wayne Gretzky became the first player in NHL history to score 200 points in one season. He finished the night at 203 points. He ended that season with 212 points. I think that's, you're just talking about McDavid and how much of a pace he was on. Gretzky, completely different level, eh?
100% different level. And I don't want to hear any of the garbage if that's 80s bandwagon hockey, or firewagon hockey or whatever the hell you want to say. No one else did it at all. He did. It's unbelievable. I couldn't imagine sitting there watching a guy play in his prime like that. That's Tiger Woods in golf kind of stuff back in 2001. And even that, I was just barely able to appreciate that kind of level of greatness. But that level of greatness does not come around long, and each sport maybe gets one every generation. I mean, like, a generation has to lapse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's nuts. 212 points. No, man, that's unreal.
And we are coming up to the spring, so, man, we're going to get into the days when the playoffs usually are happening. We're going to come across more Wayne Gretzky stuff, I guarantee it. The other thing I remember about Wayne Gretzky that was crazy, I remember doing hockey drafts, and when it came to getting the first overall pick, you couldn't just pick Wayne Gretzky. You'd either pick his goals or assists, because you couldn't take him as just one player. Like, that's
nuts.
That is nuts.
That's a high level of respect.
Yeah. Speaking of Gretzky, the next game for the Leafs after tonight's game against the Ottawa Senators is Saturday, the 27th. The Oilers are coming to town. What can you expect from this game?
I'm expecting the Leafs to play solid hockey. I think that the Leafs have played a few good games in a row. I mean, even the game that we lost with Anderson in net, it's just, I think we played good hockey. Really, I do. Held them to 18 shots in that one, and then we won the next, and here we go. Right? Am I wrong? I think I've got that right. I think the Leafs are going to play great. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. I think it's going to be a bit of a run and gun game, and we've been saying that's going to happen against the Oilers all season. We're finally going to get it. We're going to get like a 6-5 game. It's going to be awesome. Lots of points. I think McDavid's going to show up. I think Matthews is going to show up. I honestly don't know who's going to win this game because the Oilers, like we said, we're both on the bandwagon. They're playing better than the Leafs lately, to be honest. So we can't expect an easy Leaf win here. So that's my
no. And law of averages means that Campbell, like, he's put up some solid numbers here, like ridiculously superb numbers. But it's like law of averages. You can't do that every night. Like, it's like it has to. There's going to be some big saves, but I'm with you. It's probably going to be a light the lamp kind of night.
Yeah. Well, I think that pretty much wraps it up, unless you have anything you want to say before we get going.
Nah, buddy, I just appreciate having Tim on the show and the work that you put into this too, Wes. I appreciate it a lot. Lots of fun every time.
Yeah. Thanks, man. I love doing it. It's a labor of love. If you like what you see and what you hear, like, subscribe, follow us on Twitter at BlueCollarHT, or email us bluecollarhockeytalk@gmail.com. And as we always say, go Leafs go.